In the year 1907, a man named Leo worked in a laboratory filled with glass tubes that hissed and bubbled. Leo was a chemist with a big dream. He wanted to invent something that had never existed before. The world was changing fast, and people needed new materials to build the future, but everything they used back then came from nature. At that time, people used something called shellac to coat wood and insulate wires. But shellac was made from tiny beetles. Leo's assistant, Elara, showed him a jar of the sticky stuff. It took thousands of beetles to make just a little bit of shellac, which made it very expensive and hard to find. "There must be a better way," Elara said, shaking her head. Leo and Elara began to mix strange liquids together. They used phenol, which smelled like tar, and formaldehyde, which smelled very sharp. They spent weeks pouring, stirring, and heating their mixtures in the lab. They were looking for a synthetic material, one made by science instead of by nature. For a long time, everything they made was a disaster. One morning, Leo tried to clean out a test tube, but the mixture inside had turned into a sticky, gooey mess that stuck to everything. It was like super strong chewing gum that wouldn't come off. Leo pulled at it, but it just stretched and snapped back. Leo realized they needed more than just heat. They needed pressure. He built a giant, heavy iron machine that looked like an old-fashioned engine. Elara called it the Baekeland. She spent hours turning the heavy valves to keep the pressure just right while the chemicals cooked inside the dark iron belly of the machine. After days of waiting, the Baekeland was finally ready to be opened. Leo and Elara stood side by side, their hearts racing. The laboratory was quiet except for the ticking of a clock. Leo reached for the heavy iron handle of the machine. "Let's see if we've changed the world," he whispered. Out of the machine came a solid, dark block. It wasn't sticky like the failures before. It was smooth, shiny, and as hard as a rock. Leo held it up high. He named it Bakelite. It was the world's very first fully synthetic plastic. It didn't come from a tree or a beetle. It came from their imagination and hard work. Elara wanted to see just how strong it was. She took a heavy metal hammer and hit the Bakelite brick as hard as she could. Clang! The hammer bounced off, but the brick didn't have a single scratch. Then she held it over a hot flame, but it didn't melt. "It's indestructible," she shouted with a laugh. Soon, Bakelite was everywhere. Because it didn't melt and could be molded into any shape, it was used to make colorful radios, sleek telephones, and even jewelry. Leo and Elara watched as their invention filled homes across the globe. It was called the material of 1,000 uses. Leo's discovery changed the way everything was made. He showed the world that, through chemistry, we could create new materials to solve old problems. Even today, the spirit of Leo's lab lives on every time a scientist mixes two things together to find something brand new.